Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Jay. I'm a personal trainer here at the Longevity Club. Just here to bring you guys a really quick video about how to increase your speed, strength, and power in an easy way. First off, we're gonna start over here on the mat, so let's get to it. All right, so before we start, I'm just gonna kind of explain to you guys what's going on. So anytime you're thinking about increasing speed, strength, and power, yes, you can do all of them at once. You really want to focus on that hip complex, right? So we need to be loose in our hips. We need to make sure that our muscles can glide the way they need to, and we need to be able to apply the type of pressure we need from all three of our major joints. We have what we call triple flexion, starting here at your hip, into your knee, and down into your ankle and foot. First thing we're going to do is just get a quick stretch just to make sure we're warmed up and our hips are nice and loose and increase our strength, speed, and power. First one we're going to do will be down here on the mat, starting on all fours. We're just going to do what's called a fire hydrant. Very simple hip opener. All you're going to do, starting on your hands and knees, you're going to bring that one side knee up high as you can, all the way back down to the mat. So we're just going to rep this out, really focusing on squeezing that core and not trying to rotate into it too much. We'll just go for a couple more here. 3, 2, 1. And of course, always have to switch sides. Same thing. And with this, you're not really focusing too much on how high the hip can go up. Of course, you always need to work within your own capacity. So you're just getting that nice stretch, making sure we're all the way engaged in those hips. And 3, 2, 1. All right, next up, I've got a knee pad over here. And for any of us with any sort of old knee injury, new injury, having some sort of knee pad will definitely help with the next one. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna start off with one leg out to the side, toes still pointing straight. And I'll show this from another angle just to show you what we're talking about. But anytime we're trying to really have a powerful movement, it always involves the hips, being able to squeeze through and have perfect pelvic alignment once you're done. So our goal here, like I said, you see nice and sharp, foot straight. You're gonna go down with your hips, and you're gonna squeeze all the way through. Now your hips should be on fire after just a couple of these. It's a very simple movement. And of course, you always have to do it on the other side. Nice and sharp. Just really firing through, loosening up those hips. Very good hip opener here. Now I'm going to show you that secondary angle that we're using. So foot out to the side, other foot directly right behind you. First thing I'm going to do is send back those hips and squeeze them forward, right? So I'm squeezing as hard as I can with those glutes every time. You might get a couple pops there on the inside of your groin, but of course we're just loosening up that ball and socket. Now, after this, we're just gonna add a slight static stretch, nothing too much because of course we don't wanna overstretch our muscle before we get into our workout because that can decrease our power that we can put out. So from right here, I like to put my hands right on my hips. I just wanna push forward. Now, of course, I have the flexibility to go all the way down, but our goal here is really just to squeeze that glute and try to realign that pelvis nice and even. So you'll be right here, squeeze, 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 nice and tight. And you should feel it in the hip of the foot that's behind you. So now on my right side, I'm feeling a nice intense squeeze. And there's no magic number for this. We're just gonna go until we feel like we've warmed it up. Same thing on the other side. I'm gonna adjust my feet here. Nice long squeeze. Nice and simple, very easy. And that'll conclude our warm up. Let's get into the workout. First workout we're gonna do today is gonna be medicine ball slams. So here I have a TRX slam ball. This is the 15 pounds. You honestly don't need too much more than that. I'm gonna turn to the side as I explain this to you just so you can see what I'm talking about. So I always like to start medicine ball down on the ground. So we can really work on getting down into that pocket the way we need to. This should be a comfortable position. So as we come up, you're thinking chest high, squeezing through the legs. So a lot of mistakes that people make, bring that ball back down. They want to go down leading with their back. And then they lift hips first and then back. And over time, that'll definitely add a lot of stress to that lower back, and we won't be targeting what we need to. So what we want to do when that ball is all the way down there, coming all the way down, scooping under those fingers, staying nice and even with the legs, being able to squeeze back up, making sure we're nice and aligned at the top. So to add the arms into that, we're going to have our arms extended all the way overhead. We're going to come up on our toes and we're going to slam as hard as we can. So as you see, I'm already down in that position to pick that ball right back up and make it a continuous movement. So we're just going to roll through this a couple times. Three more. And with these, you can always do them for time or you can do them for reps. If we're going for reps, you definitely want to get at least more than 10, so I'd aim for 12 to 15. If you're really feeling it and you can get into that rhythm, let's go for 20. But that's the first one for the medicine ball. The second one, we'll start on our side. Now this one, we're going to need some pivots with the heels, right? Being able to go in and out and use those hips to create that extra torque of power. What we're going to be doing is side medicine ball slams. So I'll start down on this side. You'll come up and over like a rainbow, right? So you want those arms fully extended as you're slamming. Let's go through a couple of these. Last couple. All right, so that concludes our first workout. Let's move on to the sled. All right, so I've got the sled behind me, but right before we hop on, I'd like to talk to you guys a little bit more about that triple flexion. So, easiest way to do it, you find any wall, press against it nice and tight. You want to find that plank. Now first, we're just going to start with a little bit of marching, articulating those toes, making sure they're nice and straight, so that we can produce as much power as possible. Now, once you get good at this, speed it up. And that's going to be the exact same movement we're going to do back there on the sled. So good to try on the wall first, just to make sure you feel right, you're nice and tight, and your knees are moving evenly. So let's hop on the sled. All right, so now that we're on the sled, let's test it out. Hands up top. Remember, we're thinking triple flexion. We're trying to get as strong as we can and as long as we can, using our strides to get the thing moving. At that point, we're running. With these TechnoGym treadmills, you can set your weight, how many reps you want to do, and how far you want to go in yards. So I would definitely challenge yourself. I always go for at least 3 sets. And with the yards, I would say 20 should be minimum. You really want to be able to pick up and maintain that same pace, applying the same pressure the whole time. So, all right, for our final workout, we're going to be over here on the Keiser machine, multifunctional, but for what we're doing today, we're just going to be doing RDLs on here. First thing we want to think about, you want to have those arms right about hip width. So you want to make sure you're not too close, not too wide, and that just helps with engagement, right? The second thing, worried about those hips again. So as those hips are going back, you're going to go down to about roughly right where your knees are. Right when you get under those knees, I want you to explode and squeeze those hips back through. So we're going down and explode, going down and explode the whole way through. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get set up here. There we are. All right, make sure your feet are even, your hands are nice and tight. And remember, we don't want to go too far down until you have the capability to do so. So I'm just going to go right over my knees, making sure those hamstrings are engaged, and shoot the hips through. All the way down, make sure those hamstrings are engaged, and shoot the hips through. All right, and that concludes our quick workout. This is how you increase speed, strength, and power in a short amount of time. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you on the next one.